Hi everyone, welcome to this week's coaching resource video where Jo and I are going to be talking about transitioning from corporate into a career as a coach. We know that many people we come into contact with, those that we coach, people in our coaching crowd group and on our qualifications are somewhere on the journey of transition, be that in its early infancy around thinking that they might like more freedom, a way to craft a career from coaching, right through to those people who perhaps have found themselves, at the end of a redundancy situation or wanting finally to take that leap out of corporate and into the world of being a coach or integrating coaching into another business idea. So we wanted to share with you our thoughts, reflections, wisdom, hints, tips, whatever it might be around that transition. So where would you start, Jo?
Well, firstly, is it possible? Yes, absolutely. Secondly, do you have the ability to do it? Yes, with the right qualification, the right support. Yes, you can do it. Are you worth it? Do you deserve it? If you want it, yes, 100% you do. And for us, this is our journey. We transitioned from successful HR careers into coaching, very successful coaching careers about 10 years ago, and I've loved it. What do you need to do in order to make that move successful? I guess people would say, do I need to have a plan? This would probably be the first question people would ask. I think a semi-structured plan. That's the way we tend to work. We have a plan, but we also know that we will need to flex along the way as we get new knowledge, new experience. You need to think about your finances first and foremost. What can you afford to do? And it might mean that you need to make a plan to be able to get yourself a little, nest before you actually take the decision to go into coaching in that way. There's plenty of coaching work available out there. And, what we've seen through the global pandemic is organizations actually investing more and more in coaching support. So I think if we roll the clock forward another 5 years, 10 years, coaching will be very, very mainstream. And it is the expectation that people have that they're supported either with a coaching approach from their manager or with the support of an external coach.
My sort of perspective on this, I think, is if you have somebody who's currently in corporate and is thinking of making a transition to a coach, the likelihood is you're already a high achiever, somebody who can figure problems out and put in place an action plan and do all the things that you would need to do to get a successful business off the ground. The thing that gets in people's way and makes this maybe feel like a really challenging thing to do is often fear and mindset. And if I cast my mind back to taking that leap from being in the security of corporate into having this business with you, it was just terrifying. Like the whole thought of stepping away from that security was frightening. Stepping into a business where I needed to be visible and off my own back, and I had to overcome, I suppose, certain habits, I think, of behavior that would have held me back. And I remember the first thing I would think about as I was stepped into this business would be, right, I'm going to be broke and destitute for the next 6 months whilst I, build things out. And the reality was very, very different because, as I was leaving, I reached out to my network and I shared what my plans were and I shared what my ideas were, and I asked for help and just said, if any of you know of any work that's available around these, these themes, let me know. And probably 5 or 6 people came with offers of how I could support them in this new capacity. And I completely overlooked what might happen if I asked for help, because my barrier was I would never ask for help. So I think what I'm saying is the fear is very real and the mindset blocks will be very real. And probably the biggest work you'll end up doing will be that on yourself, of how you can overcome that. And for that, you need to use the people who care and support for you and run your ideas by them and talk openly about it so you can bounce ideas around. And I think that's the kind of semi-structure that we're kind of getting to in terms of the planning. which is actually, I may not have come up with the idea to reach out to my network myself, because I was inside the fear, thinking about how it may not have worked out. But actually, as I spoke to people about it, they're like, oh, you could do this and you could do this, and started to get some excitement behind it. You just be prepared that in whatever journey you set out to do, transitioning from corporate, don't expect it to be easy. Don't expect it to come straight away. Do expect that you're going to have to step out of your comfort zone and challenge it, but it's all there for the taking, and it can be a really rewarding, exciting, like adventurous thing to do, and resource yourself with the right people and support to be able to do it.
I think you need to know what your values are. So what are the things that are must-haves for you in your career or your life? And you need to be clear around, would making a move, a career transition into a coaching career, fulfill those things? So when you're talking about adventure, I was like, yeah, that's one of my values. I know achievement's one of my values, learning, growth, belonging is important to me. And I had a feeling of, I don't quite belong in the roles that I've been in. So I felt like when I was helping people to develop and listening, and I was good at the strategy and all of those things, and I used the strategic capabilities in running the business, because you need to have that. But it was the things that brought me the most joy, and where I felt that it all made sense to me, were in those moments, and I wanted to have more of that. And when I thought about what's success for me moving forwards, and how can I really play to my own unique strengths, I knew that it was around that. So I think I had a really strong inner sense, even though I never wanted to have my own business, but I did have a strong inner sense of, I do want to live my best life. I think life is short, and I want to do it in that way. And also, having children, I wanted to be able to role model. I want them to have the careers they want to have, and I want them to do it through design. Bit of luck along the way, but hopefully mostly design and informed decisions. So check out what your values are, and also obviously your beliefs about what's possible, and what it will be like. Zoe and I, we had each other, didn't we? And I think that's so powerful, and that's the feedback we get from others, is we see the connection you have, that there's real strength in that. So you may not want to go into business with somebody else, or you might not have somebody else that shares the same passion as you. But what you can have and invest in is community. And the online business world is booming. And coaches are a huge part of that. And there are lots of communities like our Business Lounge coaching community that gives you the stepping stones, explains the pieces of the jigsaw that you need to have. So you need to find a way from being an expert in your particular field, maybe HR, L&D, OD, marketing, whatever it is. And the thought of going from being an expert to being a newbie can be overwhelming, and you can feel very exposed within that. And I think what really helps is to be able to understand how all of that knowledge, the skills, the experience, how that is a valuable part of your story, and what makes you as a coach unique and your offer unique. And that's something that other people can help you to see when you perhaps can't see it yourself. You do need to make sure that you do an excellent qualification, because credibility does matter, and people now know and understand a lot more about the coaching industry. So you need to make sure that it's accredited, that it is at a high level, that you have good practice, you go on and you get your accreditation. But while you're doing that, let people know every step of the way. Studying this week, oh my goodness, discovered this most amazing thing, now I'm thinking this about it, I can't wait to share this with others. Does anybody else have these thoughts? So it's also about, I think for us, our biggest challenge over the years, the 10 years, has been visibility. Because we aren't naturally out there people, but we found our way to do it through videos like this, through the trainings that we run on our courses, and it's brilliant.
Yeah, one of the reflections I was having as you were speaking there, Jo, when I did my coaching training, like probably 11 or 12 years ago now, I did the training without having the plan. So I didn't know exactly how I was going to do it. I had an intention that one day I would leave the corporate world and step into my own business, because unlike you, I knew I would have my own business. Like that was just in my blood. Like I knew that it was something I needed to do. It was the itch that I couldn't scratch, and it aligned with so many of my other values as well. So I knew I was going to do it. I didn't have the belief, but I knew that that was what I wanted. And so for me, I put the cart before the horse, and I was like, right, if I'm going to make that intention a reality, I know I'm going to need a coaching qualification in order to do it. So that was something I could do. That was the step I could take that would make it more likely that I'd achieve that intention. Because without doing the course, there's no point waiting until I'm ready, because I didn't feel like I was ever going to be ready. So I started with the one thing that I could do that would contribute to that. So I would say to anyone watching this who's in a similar position that they know that one day they want to step away from corporate or make a transition, or they're somewhere in the middle, is what one step can you do? Because if making the transition feels a really long way away, there's probably something that is the first step that you would need to do anyway, regardless of where you are.
Yeah, and I would say if you're watching and thinking that you're already in transition, or actually you're constantly in transition, and when you start to think, okay, well, if I'm constantly in transition, all of a sudden it doesn't feel like a big thing anymore. It's just a natural evolution, and you're already probably noticing what's emerging for you, which is, you know, a new journey. So, you know, and also when you train to be a coach, all that mindset stuff that might be getting in the way, that's what you get to work on when you're training to be a coach. So same thing, what happens is training to be a coach, they said, don't make any big decisions. But I just felt everything was aligning with all the work that I was doing. All of a sudden, all those things that potentially could have held me back, or that maybe I thought could be a weakness, all of a sudden you get to actually see, you know, the wonder of that. And all of those things are part of you, and you can overcome those and quash those limiting beliefs, and then start to listen more to, like, everybody saying, whatever you do, you'll be a success. And you think, oh, well, I haven't done that before. What I would say is there is a really active coaching community that are really supportive of one another, and we love to see coaches succeed. We love to share that journey from the beginning through to seeing people flourish, all the overwhelm that they encounter along the way, and how they come out the other side. And for us, it's an important part of our legacy, because we realise we can only coach a certain number of people. So our joy is to enable as many people as possible, the trainers, coaches, to improve our own mental health, the mental health of others, and to change the conversations in the workplace so that they are transformational rather than transactional.
Yeah, so I mean, and of course you can change your mind. So, you know, if you come and start the journey of transition, and then halfway through you think, oh, actually, maybe that isn't what I wanted after all, then you've achieved something, because you've explored the journey. You haven't sort of sat in the discomfort of not knowing. And I think the other thing, if you choose to train with us, what you get is, firstly, highly accredited programs, which are accredited by the ILM, the EMCC, and soon to be the ICF, because we've got that in progress as well. But as Jo alluded to there, we've got our business lounge. So for those of you who become really serious about setting up your coaching business, we'll support you through our business lounge membership, which is a low price monthly membership, where we're going to give you all of the trainings and resources that you need to find out what you need to do to run a successful business. So it's a bit of a one-stop shop. So come and find out about us at www.igcompany.co.uk. Jo mentioned values as an important part of your journey. If you take a look on our vlog, you can scroll to the very first episode, which is Careers Values, right down the bottom, or find it on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, Careers Values, and that will walk you through an activity to help you to discover your values. And, you know, reach out to us if you've got any questions, but just know that it is absolutely possible, and the journey will fill you with wonder and excitement and challenge and all of the things. But whatever you decide through that journey, it'll be worthwhile.